Please welcome to the stage two-time elite coach, David Atkins.
I went hard. Let's go, let's go, let's go! Wow! How exciting is it to be here at a live event after 3 years? Woo! There is nothing like being together, seeing you guys, nothing like the community, nothing like not being on another Zoom call to come together and be here, because this is going to be a rocket launch for all of us, and I truly believe it. Who feels me here? I'm really excited about what I get to discuss with you guys and what's coming in the next 20 minutes, but I have 3 quick questions for you. By a show of hands, how many ladies in the room struggle with an unsupportive, difficult spouse, male spouse, a significant other? Show of hands. If you're not raising it, you're lying. How many ladies in the room want to know how to get their male spouse or significant other involved more in the business? Show of hands. There we go. And how many men in the audience, for the men that are there, or the live stream, I see you, want to know how to actively build this business? Well, I'd like to say that I went through all 3 areas and had success, so I know it's not possible, it's past possible to succeed in these areas. So what you're going to hear in the next 20 minutes and what you're hearing at Summit is an opportunity of a lifetime to take what you learned and apply it. But my question for you, before I call out my 2 friends, are you willing to take advantage of the lifetime of this opportunity that's presented to you? That's what's going to make a difference. So without further ado, I want to bring out my 2 good friends, fellow rock stars, Jamie Fitzpatrick and Michael Coleman.
Somebody, good.
We're here.
We're here.
Holy cow, we're here.
I was saying I'm usually insecure about my thinning hair, but up here I feel really good. Really good.
What? Yep.
It's my opening joke.
No, honey, I'm on stage right now, yeah. Talking, about you being unsupportive when we started. Yeah. Yeah. I know you're a better coach than I am right now. So it's okay.
All jokes.
I gotta go.
So let's get right into it. One of the biggest struggles is really dealing with the unsupportive male spouse or significant other. And really, how do you deal with that unsupportive male spouse? And I think one of the big things, Jamie, we often hear about is how important communication is. So I'd love for us to kick off and talk about that importance.
Yeah, communication, we hear that buzzword. I don't know if it's a buzzword. We hear it so much in relationships. Of course, it's important. I think I did this when I started. I think that, and I'm surprised at how many coaches don't actually do this with their spouse when they start this business, because this is a different business. It's untraditional. I think the conversation has to be had. It has to be had, when the kids are in bed, or, you're not half deep in a bottle of Merlot or whatever your thing is. And you sit them down in a quiet spot and you really have to explain to them. And I don't think it has to be business related. You're not there to tell them, X amount that you're going to earn or anything like that, because at that time as a new coach, you really don't know what's going on. But I think it's important to have the conversation. Look it, babe, whatever you want to say, this is important to me. I'm loving the way I'm feeling in this business. I'm loving the community that I'm reaching, the community that I belong to. This is going to be different. I might be on my phone a little bit, but I think you're not asking for permission, don't at me, but you're asking for support. And I think, hey, I'm going to need your support to do this, and saying it with that seriousness, I think it matters, but I don't think people do that enough.
Absolutely, and I know, Mike, you... I think that's something that all 3 of us had to do. I had to do it with Kristen and really doing it without the distractions and having that communication piece. But moving into another point, I think consistency, we say it with success in business, but I really think when you're dealing with this exact issue, Mike, consistency is really paramount when it comes to success as a coach.
Right, and consistency takes absolutely zero skill. Let's get that up right away. I was at a luncheon yesterday, and I heard so many people talking about consistency. I was consistent, but what does that mean? You know, your significant other is going to see you doing things a little differently. Things are going to look a little differently, as Jamie mentioned, and that's important for you to kind of let them know that you are serious about this. But then you have to show up that when you're on your phone, you're on your computer, you're using that time to the best that you possibly can to move your business forward, because they're going to have to see some results. A great example, you know, I battled cancer my first year during during coaching, and Heather, my wife, wasn't 100% successful, as you heard when she called me before I got up here, and you know, the good attorney in her, she gave me 6 months to prove that this was worth our family's time, and I valued that time, that I was going to make sure that I showed up during chemo treatment, during being sick, dragging myself into the basement, and thank you. I dragged her with me because I needed to prove to her. She was my biggest skeptic, and if I could prove to her, I could prove to anyone. I think it's so important that you just take that as a responsibility. They might not understand, but the communication piece is so important. Yep.
Absolutely, and with consistency, I think understanding more times than not, it's going to be harder to be consistent. I think we think that consistency will be easy, but working through the hard times is going to make a difference. Now, a next point with this is really being proof, showing them proof about it. And Jamie, I think with males, we need to see proof with this business, with success, to have them have some belief, the men.
I think it's not only men. I think as humans we can be a little bit stubborn, and I mean men maybe a little bit more. I can say that I am one, but I think at the end of the day you can communicate as best as you want. You can do all the things right in the business. You can have the talking points with your spouse and partner. There's going to be some times they're still not going to catch on. They still will not maybe support you. So I say prove it to them. I wanted to say something else, but compliance wouldn't let me. But prove it with earnings. Prove it with earnings. If you're that serious about it, show them. So when you go out for dinner, you go, hey babe, this is from the earnings. I think that's just a point some of you are going to have to deal with. So don't sit and whine about it. Go prove it to them.
You can't ignore success. It's so important. When you can't ignore success, whether it's the Beachbody results success, whether it's business success, the same thing with your significant other. It's the success that's going to say, oh, maybe, which is our next point, right, I should get involved with this.
Right. So the next question is, what can you do to get the men involved? How can you get them to team up with you? And I think one of the main things right out of the gate is being a product of the product, but getting them involved with the program, right, Mike?
You have to. It's the number one thing for me. It's you have to be proof the products work. You have to do it the way it's designed. Not a week, not 7 of the 8 weeks. You're going to do all of it, all the 8 weeks. If your significant other wants to be part of this with you, what a perfect opportunity we have with Lift More coming out. Get them involved. You can't make them do anything, but you can ask very, very nicely that if you want to get involved, this is a great way you can help me. Do it together. Couples do very well when they pair up together. You're a partnership, and let them in on the partnership. Yep.
And understanding the catalog is vast. There's male, whether it's Body Beast or even go old school P90X or X2, any of the male programs. Maybe you have to sacrifice doing something with them to get them more involved. I think the next point really is really understanding the compensation plan and how magnificent that is, right, Jamie? I think most coaches and ladies, we don't understand it, and I think therefore the men don't understand as well, and I think them understanding it plays into that.
Yeah, compliance is going to start twitching here in a sec, but you can't explain this in a minute, so I won't try to, but I think it's up to you to dive into your back office to understand that, because they're never going to do it if you don't do it. And I'm always surprised how many coaches don't know what sponsorship drill down is. Have you ever gone into your earnings commissions and clicked on the hyperlinks and gone and figured out what everything is? I'm shocked at how many people don't do that. I say that with respect, but that's part of your process. That's part of you building up that competence so your confidence is elevated. and you just have to dive in there. You have to go where you're fearful, and that's part of this process. They're never going to get back there if you're not back there. So that's a big one. I mean, team bonus. I know we've got LV, RV, EV, PV, and there's a lot of different things out there, but we've got quarterly bonuses. We've got matching bonuses. We've got all those things for them to grab hold of that and understand those concepts. You have to kind of get that first, and you have to tackle that first.
Super powerful, because if they see that opportunity, I think that really plays into it. And also another point, I think teamwork. We all have strengths and weaknesses. I know Kristen and I have strengths and weaknesses, and Mike, teamwork is so important on how to work with your spouse and working together as a team and working on what you're strong at.
Yeah, once you kind of see that your significant other wants to be part of this with you, you do have to work off your strengths and weaknesses, and maybe even like your dislikes and your likes. I firmly believe you should keep all income-producing activities or your IPAs should kind of stay with you, because you're the face of the business, and they might not want to be the face of this business. They might not want to be on social media. I didn't want to be on social media, but it's kind of said you had to. So, it's one of those things where you find what each other are good at. For me, it was bringing Heather in to handle emails. She's very good with emails, and that took a lot of workload off of me. Sending emails out for new challengers and coaches and challenge groups, the lead program, and it took a lot of stuff off. And when you kind of divvy up the responsibilities, it frees you up to do more of the things that matter most to grow your business. And you know what? Maybe it's just like, I need time. Can you watch the kids for an hour? Like, maybe it's as simple as that, and taking care of dinner. You don't know. It doesn't have to be part of the back office, but it's something that if they want to be part of this with you, however they're going to start, maximize the time that you're given to move your business forward. It's important.
No, 100%. And I think the last thing really to talk about is the men that want to build the business. And I think it's so easy, we get caught up in, it's a female-dominated business, but all three of us did it. And I think it's so easy to compare, you're a new male, you want to start, you're comparing your chapter 1 to our chapter 12, instead of saying, let me start on my day 1 and realize there is a vast catalog of male programs. There is ways with social media to build the business. We all start with 0 followers and 0 friends. And Jamie, you really hit on a good point about, being authentic with the males and just being yourself.
Yeah, I think is so many ways to build this business, and in a lot of ways, even though this is quote unquote male focus, this really speaks to everyone in the room. And I think no secrets in this business. I think the secret sauce, though, is you just can't be scared of being yourself. And the most successful, whatever that means, most successful coaches I see, they are so real, they're so themselves. When you meet them in person, they're the same people as they are on social media. I know that's easier said than done, because we get so afraid of who we are. I think you showing up authentically as you, and you really should try to not look like every other Beachbody coach. That should actually be your goal. Here's the thing, like, we don't want to get too, but we have this connective tissue, right? We're all like human spirits. We all connect in certain ways. That connective tissue happens when we gel on things that we both love or not love or are interested in. When you have a really good conversation with someone, it just flows. That's not going to happen if you're not showing up as you on social media. It's just not going to happen, because you're actually acting. You're trying to be something you're not. And I know you hear that a lot, but you gotta show up as you, the quirks, the weird stuff. We're all a little weird, guys, have you not noticed? But that's the binding stuff that really people want to see, and it connects you to them. And let's be real. Men are afraid to be vulnerable. A lot of us are afraid to show up and be who we are, and I hope that changes. And if you're struggling, maybe that's something to look at.
I think it's so important. I know Mike and I both being state troopers and having to work through that, but that's the biggest thing, is you have to be true to who you are. And when your vision is big enough, you will work through and see yourself achieve it before you're even there, because you have to be authentic to yourself. But I think the work is the same. I think we get caught up like, oh no, we don't still need to do the invites and the follow-ups. At the end of the day, Jamie, the back process is still the same.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure a lot of male coaches reach out, and most of the time, and again, different ways to build a business, but the number one question I get is like, how do I get guys to join the business? I said, I don't know. I don't know how to get guys to join the business. I'm looking for people. I'm looking for people. I'm looking for people that want to grow something. So why would I look for a man or a woman or a blonde or a brunette or whatever? I'm looking for people
That want it.
that want it. So that's just with the business activity tracker. It's like, it's no different. It's no different. It doesn't matter who you are, what you look like. It's the same. I almost swore. I didn't. It's the same stuff. It's the same stuff. It's just how many times you do the different sections of the bat is what's going to matter.
You still need to do the work, right? I think we make excuses instead of making reasons. And I think a big thing for males, and I know I went through it early on. I used to joke when my friend wanted me to get to do P90X back in the day. I'm like, I'm not doing that Richard Simmons home workout stuff. That's not happening. Because I think men it's the ego that gets the best of us. And I think that we have to work through that. And Mike, ego, right? And something that I think all men have to overcome.
Ego, stubbornness, there's a whole bunch of things. Listen, I was an academy instructor for 14 years. I was the person really in your face. And I remember having a conversation with this guy, I don't know if you guys know Sean T. And I had a conversation with him when I got PC, like a preferred customer really back then. I was a discount coach. And he's like, are you going to take this serious? Like, you're going to coach? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, well, you're not going to be successful. I'm never going to forget this. You're not going to be successful until you're ready to get vulnerable. And I'm like, oh, man. Law enforcement, like, that's not an easy one. I'm not even on social media. But I took that to heart. It doesn't mean, it's however that looks for you, it has to look different for everybody. And you don't have to open up your closet to everybody. But you do have to be authentic and put yourself out there a little bit. That's really important because you're not going to attract anybody that you're meant to attract without having that vulnerability a little bit, and kind of letting them in behind the curtain. And again, that was a hard thing for me. From my background, it was frowned upon, very much so. So I did that. I took that to heart. I was open and coachable. And I think it circles back to the original reason of why I started. If you're a male coach, are there any male coaches here? Because
yeah, we are.
Because I remember my first summit, not here, but I was in the top bleachers in 2015, and I just watched and knew I'd be on stage someday, hopefully sharing some value, and I wouldn't have put my hand up. I wouldn't have announced myself if someone said that. I was just the quiet sniper from the top, kind of just, maybe that's not the right thing to say. It's my law enforcement background, I was just sorry. So, but yeah, so I was open to doing the things because there was something, and maybe this will connect with you. There's got to be something deep inside that's burning, that wants to burn brighter, and you need to fuel that, because the regret's a horrible thing. So if you are feeling that, if you're loving the programs and products, like, it starts with that. That's why I would say you have to start with that. It's how we all got involved. It's how I think probably most of the people up front here got involved, falling in love with the programs and products, and then wanting to build a business around something you were going to do anyway. Why not help more people do it? I know it sounds so basic and simple, but it really is. So get out of your own way. Get out of your own way. So,
for the men, don't let the start stop you. It's on you. At the end of the day, it is on you, and you need to take that first step. Draw a line in the sand today. Where are the men? Stand up quickly. We have like 10 seconds. Stand up. Where are the men that are out there?
Spouses on.
Yeah, here we go.
Spouses on as well. Even if it's your first summit. Even if you're up there somewhere.
Yeah.
Hey, David.
Yeah.
I'll try to get this out. Shit, there I swore. I got it out.
Oh, no.
We got to keep our men healthy.
Yeah. 100%. And we know that story.
Yeah.
So we're going to end with this. We have a special surprise for all the men. Doesn't matter if you're a preferred customer. It doesn't matter if you're a new customer. It doesn't matter if you are a coach. Mike, Jamie, and I are gonna run a Lift More Dude group with Joel starting in August 1st. To be in this group, you have to commit to the program and the nutrition. None of this digital only crap. I'm just calling it as it is. We want to go all in with the results, and we're going to open up this group just for the men, any man that signs up. So follow Michael, Jamie, and I on social media. Get connected. Let's blow up, lift more. Men, we're here for you, and let's do this. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
David, Michael, Jamie, great job, guys. Oh, I was supposed to go on the outside. I never follow the instructions.